Hello again YouTube and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. This is part 2 of 3 how it works videos talking about the screen, the big screen in the middle of a Tesla Model 3 and Model Y, which I know freaks some people out when they think about the way that Teslas are built. They are really simple. So if you haven't seen part 1, which talks about the basic layout of the screen and what you'll find on it, go watch that one first and then come back here. So this is part 2, and in this one we are going to cover all of the menus. So we're going to press the car symbol at the bottom right to pull up all of the configuration menus, which enables you to change the way that the car is set up and how it drives.
Finally, on the right hand side, you've got the car icon, which is like the main menu. So when you click on that, it pulls you up a list of all of the different menu screens that you can go into. I'm going to go through these now fairly quickly. So up here, if you tap on your name, you can change the driver profile, and that will change your seat and mirror settings and so on if you have those changed. There is a bell icon for in-car notifications. There is a Bluetooth menu where, again, you can make changes to which phone you've got connected and what it's doing. There is a symbol up here showing your Wi-Fi and phone car connectivity settings. Next up is headlights. Now, there is a shortcut for this when you push the light stalk, but this is also on the controls settings, and I've got everything set on to automatic and auto main beam, but you can turn that off, or you can set your headlights onto manual if you want to do it that way. There is a button to be able to fold the mirrors in and then to be able to take them out again. You can change your child locks and your window locks in the back if you're carrying small children and you don't want them fiddling with the controls. And you can open the glove box. You can't close the glove box though. You have to do that one manually. Further down the list, you've got the windscreen wiper menu. So again, you can shortcut this by pushing the button on the end of the stalk, but it's also on the screen here. So set on automatic or manually to different levels or off. You can adjust your mirrors and your steering wheel settings. You can change the Tesla Cam and Sentry settings so that, again, you have got control over the way the cameras are recording when you're in the car or out of it. And finally, you have got your screen brightness. So I have it set on automatic, but you can change it to whatever else you want. I also have this on night mode. I personally like night mode, but other people will have it on automatic so that it's white during the day and dark at night. Next up, you have your pedals and steering menu. So at the top, you've got acceleration. Standard is your full acceleration, full regen mode, and then chill just tones everything down a little bit, makes the car a little bit more docile if you're on a longer trip and you want to relax. Steering mode, where you can change the steering wheel sensitivity. I'll be honest, I've just left that in standard. And then stopping mode, where you can be on hold, where the car will come to a stop and will hold itself until you touch the accelerator, which is brilliant for completely one pedal driving. You can go onto roll mode, where, as it says, the car will roll as you release the pedals. Or you can go onto creep, where it gives you a little bit of creep, simulating an automatic gearbox if you're used to something like that. That's my preferred mode. Other people will have it on hold because that's their preferred mode. And then you've got off-road assist and slip start. These are 2 settings for snow or mud or those other things where effectively you need to turn traction control off. The next menu we're going to look at is charging. So I've got a Model Y long range, which means I've got what's called an NCA battery. And the recommendation from Tesla is not to have that charged on a regular basis above 90%, because like any battery, the more you are pushing it at the top end or taking out at the bottom end, you're just taking a little bit of life out of it. So you can have a daily charge setting and a trip charge setting. So in this case, I've got it currently set on 80%, but you can change that to wherever you want, 80, 90, it doesn't matter. And you can open the charge port from here as well. When you are charging, this menu also gives you the option to be able to stop charging. Quite a useful feature is changing the charge current. So if you're using the 3-pin charger, you can change the amount of voltage that you're getting through this. I've actually done a separate video on this, which I'll put a link to in the description below, where you can see all about the different types of charging and why this is useful. You also have your options to be able to do scheduled charging or scheduled departure, and it also gives you a bit of information about the last time you supercharged, as well as some tips on making it a nice, easy experience. One really cool feature that makes life really easy with the Tesla is that you can schedule charges and you can set a departure time. Now, what that means is that if you've got a cheaper electricity rate overnight, then you can simply schedule a charge and the car won't charge until it reaches that particular point. Now, I don't have a cheaper overnight rate, but I am trying to balance the amount of electricity that's being used across the grid as a good citizen. So I'm only charging my car overnight. So I've got it to start at 10 o'clock in the evening. What you can also do is go to schedule departure. So if I want to depart at 9 in the morning, let's say you leave for work at a particular time of day during the week, I can go into this, and on weekdays, I can tell it that I want to leave at a particular time and set the time on here. So what that will do is it will precondition the car. It will warm the battery if it's cold, and it will warm the car, including putting the steering wheel and seat heaters on, so that you are ready to go with a warm car and a battery that's conditioned to be able to take regenerative braking. It's a really cool feature. The best part of all, you can do all of this via the app, so you don't even have to be in the car. You simply take your phone out of your pocket, go onto the Tesla app, and go to charging and set whatever you want. Next up is your autopilot settings. So this shows you all of the different tweaks that you can make into autopilot. Now, I've only got standard autopilot on this car. I haven't got enhanced autopilot. I haven't got full self-driving, or the version of it that we get in Europe. I'm not paying for those extra functions, and it's thousands of pounds, and I'll be honest, I think standard autopilot is absolutely brilliant and I don't really need to update it. But you can switch auto steer on and off, and you can change the visualization that you get on the screen, which again I'll hopefully drop some pictures in while I'm talking about this. The set speed menu is that when you switch autopilot on, will it go to the current speed that you're doing, or will it go all the way up to the speed limit? I prefer the current speed because you can then just tap the speed limit sign. I mean, if I go on to drive now, it shows you the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. So I could literally just, once we're going, press that and it will accelerate the car up to 30 miles an hour. You can also change, back down in the menu, you can change things like the automatic blind spot camera detection. This is actually a very, very clever thing, so that when you're putting your indicators on, it pulls you up a nice picture out of the side of the car. You want that on. And also the blind spot collision warning. So there are no symbols in your wing mirrors showing that you've got somebody there. What you get instead is a graphical representation here of the different traffic that's around you. And then you get a warning bonger that tells you. Similarly, speed limit warnings, you can switch that off completely. You can have a display on the screen that flashes at you, or you can have a warning bonger that tells you that you're going too fast. You can also make some adjustments to the speed limit before that actually comes on, and basically that is how many miles an hour over are you willing to allow. One thing to note, the speedometer on my Tesla is really accurate. It only underreads by 1 or 2 miles an hour at most, which is better than some cars that I've had. There are settings for your forward collision system. So this is how far in advance do you want a warning before the car thinks you're going to crash into something. Now, the Tesla system is good, but it's not flawless. So I tend to have this set on late because I don't want it shouting at me as I'm approaching a car and then I need to drive around it that I'm going to crash into it. There's the lane departure avoidance settings. Can I get that up on the screen? Yes, I can. So this is to tell you that you're about to move out of lane. I've got it set on warning. And the reason for that is I live in the countryside, and there are quite a few times where you end up having to go across a line slightly as you're driving. If I had it on assist, then it won't let me. It will literally steer the car and keep it in lane. You've also then got things like emergency lane departure avoidance, again helpful just in case you're drifting out of lane, automated emergency braking, and we've just looked at the distance on the warning of that. Obstacle aware acceleration. This is interesting because it will limit the amount of acceleration and braking if you are trying to drive into something. Now, nobody tries to drive into something, but if you're in traffic and you haven't quite noticed that they've backed up or something in front of you, then that is a really useful thing to have. And then cruise control, and there is a thing where you can have it chime at you when the lights have changed. So if you're sat there and you haven't noticed that the lights have changed, and that happens a lot, switch that on. Otherwise, if you have eyes, switch it off. The next menu to go into is locks. This one is fairly straightforward. My phone is my key. So when I go anywhere near the car with my phone and Bluetooth switched on, it will detect that and it will unlock the car for me. What's more, I have got it set with walk away door locking. So to leave the car, I simply get out and walk away and the car locks itself. There are other things that you can do. So you can obviously set your child locks and things in the back. You have got this thing called driver door unlock mode, where it literally only unlocks the driver's door. And then there's unlock on park. So if you're going to be getting out of the car when you've parked, have this on. And of course it will just go bung. Car left open notification. So if you've accidentally left something open, it will tell you. There's different settings. The point is it's all intuitive and the car does it for you. I generally walk up to the car, push the handle and it opens. And then I walk away from the car, shut the door and it locks itself. The next menu to go into is lights. So I've already shown you the toggle to be able to change your headlight settings, which again are up here, and you can switch your fog lights on and off as well. You can change the dome lights from on or off or automatic. There are ambient lights in the car. You can't change the colour of these, and the brightness is tied to the screen brightness, which is a little annoying, but it is what it is. And then automatic indicator mode. This is an absolute feat of wizardry that has launched recently in software, where you indicate to change lanes and the lights will and the indicators will stay on as long as is needed until the cameras show that you have completed your lane change, and then they automatically turn themselves off. Similarly, auto high beam. This is much better on recent software updates. It's really, really clever now in terms of being able to read cars coming the other way without blinding them. And steering wheel lights, where the buttons on your steering wheel have got lights. Why you'd want to turn that off, I don't know. The next menu to go into is display settings. So as I mentioned, I've got mine set on dark all the time. You might want to have it on light. Personally, I don't like it. Or you can put it on automatic. Again, you can change your brightness. There is a thing called screen clear mode, where if you've got a dead pixel or something else going on, hit that and it will fuzz across it. You can change your language, voice recognition, and various other things. 12 and 24-hour clock, and just things like, are you displaying in miles? Are you displaying in centigrade? Are you showing PSI or bar? What is really useful here is if you drive across into Europe, you can simply change it into kilometers instead of miles. So it will show you on the map how many kilometers you've got to go until you reach your destination. Next menu is trips, and this is quite simply a card showing you all of the different trip information that you've got. So your current trip is literally since you set off last. Once you've pressed the park button, then it will end that particular trip. You've got how much energy you've used and distance since your last charge, since you had the car plugged in last, and then 2 programmable trips. I've got trip B set on lifetime, so I have done 7,288 miles in this car since I got it, and done 288 watt-hours per mile, which is about 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, somewhere around that. And you can change all of these in the menu here. So the current drive menu, I've got it to show my current trip and trip A and trip B, but I can change any of those things if I want to be able to make it more useful. The next menu is navigation, where again you can turn the volume off I don't want the map talking to me. It automatically routes you to home or next event. You can turn that on and off. The trip planner is extremely useful. It means that you are always routed to superchargers, and again, optimal routing based on traffic conditions. You can tell it to avoid tolls and things like that. The other thing that's really useful is send to Tesla. So on my Android phone and Google Maps, I can quite literally find where I want to go and go to share and send to Tesla, and it will go to the car, and when I get into the car it will automatically route me to where I've asked to go, which is great. The safety menu. This has got a great big SOS emergency call button up there. I believe there used to be a physical button for this up in the roof, but they've taken that off. It's absolutely fine, but press that and you go through to the emergency services. We're not pressing that now. You've got sentry mode on and off. This is where the car will use its cameras to detect for people around the vehicle. You can have sensors if you have a car with ultrasonic sensors like I do, or just camera-based detection, how long a clip you want, and you can exclude home as I have done. This is a really useful thing to have. And then the Tesla dash cam system, where again you've automatically got the car recording everything through 4 cameras. So a front view, 2 side views and a rear view, and this means that you are able to review anything that has come up. I've got this set on automatic so that it will, if it detects an unusual piece of behavior like you swerving or heavy braking, then it will automatically save it. You can also honk the horn if you have on honk and it will save the clip, or you can press the download button which will appear at the top of the screen again just to do that. It's a useful thing to have. Again, if you've got any kind of issues with other people's driving, the dash cam thing will show you whose fault it was. Speed limit mode so you don't go too fast, and then various other things around the way that the car is actually working, including, and I like this, Joe mode, where it reduces the volume of the chimes and the bongers and other things. So a guy called Joe tweeted Elon Musk and said, "Can we have the bongers quieter, please? It's waking my kids up." And they called it Joe mode after him, which I think is quite sweet. And then right down at the bottom, there is a parking brake that you can apply. So I'm currently in park, but if you want to apply extra levels of braking, press and hold, and that appears, and then you have a big P for parking thing up here. And then the other thing you can do is to power off. So if you want to power the car off completely, press that button, and then everything goes off. And then when you want to switch it back on, simply press the brake and the car comes back to life again. Last few menus to go through is service. So this shows you your tyre pressures. Now, these are all low because it's cold. I will blow them back up. I keep having to blow them back up because it's cold. But you can also go into the owner's manual and you can look up any information you want about the car and how it works. And it gives you nice visual displays about how everything works. That's a useful thing if you have forgotten something and you want to look it up. You've also got various things like adjusting the headlights and the wheels. So if you are going to change your wheels or you're going to change the tires, you can fiddle around with the settings on here and it will automatically make adjustments in the computer so that it understands those things. You can calibrate the cameras and things. You don't want to mess with that. And then you can do a complete reset of the entire car. One useful thing is wiper service mode, and that literally raises the windscreen wipers up just a little bit so you can get under the blades to clean them if you want to do so. The software menu gives you a nice visual of your car and whatever stupid name you've given it, in my case Tesla Prize because I'm a Trekkie, and it gives you your VIN number and it tells you all of the information that you want about your particular build, and also the release notes of the current version of the software that is in the car. So in this case, this is telling me about all of the different upgrades that were added to the car on the last drop of software updates, and it drops software updates over the air without you having to worry about it on a regular basis, with lots of improvements about the way that the car functions, the way that some of the graphics are done. So these tiles on the bottom were added in the last update. Really, really useful. The final bit of menu is to go into upgrades, and this allows you to buy some things in the car. Now in this case I can't actually do it from here because I'm already subscribed to premium connectivity, but it's there if you want it.
That's it for this part of the How It Works series, talking about the screen. In part 3, we're going to be going into all of the fun stuff. We're going to go into the app drawer, and we're going to go into things like the toy box, the theatre, play some games, see all of the other things that you can do, see all of the mad Tesla Easter eggs, which the Lord Elon insists on adding on. So don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon so it'll tell you the next time the video drops, and I'll see you very soon here on Just Get a Tesla.